a huge season. I'll break it all down for you here on a weekend edition of Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I am Tony Wiggins, your host of Locked On Jaguars, your daily podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. And we thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Got a little bit of a late start today. Had some people sort of let me down a little bit with some timeliness. So we put this out as a little bit of a evening drive / weekend podcast for you guys to enjoy, because we're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence, as I promised you yesterday. Just a reminder, though, that we are free on all platforms all the time on YouTube and everywhere else where you get your podcast. And like I said, thank you for making us your first listen. Trevor Lawrence, second year, rookie year, was not enough to quiet the critics who thought that he may not be as generational as we all hope, but certainly not enough for those critics to feel like they have justified, their opinion of him is justified. A little bit of a mixed bag, and you'd be remiss if you did not understand that some of the things that he went through here with the Urban Meyer coaching staff and having to be basically a press secretary every single week did not play a huge part in why he didn't, maybe perform to the level that everyone thought he would when he came out of Clemson. You heard the words generational quarterback and talent and Andrew Luck and John Elway and anybody who's ever been great at quarterback. That was supposed to be Trevor Lawrence. Now, with the success of some younger quarterbacks in the league like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, and now the latest being Joe Burrow, all in the AFC to go along with other guys like Lamar Jackson, there's even more and more pressure for Trevor to actually be good. One of the things that I think he has working for him is the coaching staff. So we'll get into that. In segment 2, I'll talk about some of the issues that he did have that he has to clean up and that he has to actually get beyond, and that we can't point the finger at anybody else for him not being able to do those things or being able to progress and do those things better. And 3, I'll finally, in third segment, I'll tell you where exactly I think he will end up this year. And I promise you won't be angry about that. But we have to, go through it and point out some of the things that, people thought and some of the things that actually did occur. One of the main things that happened last year was him not being able to be a rookie, him not being able to do the things and have the normal rookie growing pains that come along with being a rookie quarterback. I think there was just too many distractions. There was just anybody that was around here, knew it was a hot mess. It was just too many distractions. Too many times he had to come out when things weren't going good to sort of, I call it, calm the natives a little bit by going to the podium. I even think at one point late last year, I can't really confirm this because I didn't ask anybody, but there were times when they said Trevor's going to speak, and it took him a long time to get out. You almost got the feeling that at some point he didn't want to come out and talk about things that had nothing to do with football. I do remember at some point he saying, basically, I'm going to paraphrase, all of these other stuff that has nothing to football, at some point that has to stop. I also think that he was a big part of why Shad Khan stepped in right away and got rid of that bad coach that they had last year. I think it was entirely dysfunctional, and I think it was bad for him. I think it did not look good. It did not help him. He didn't improve and get better as you would thought he would have going along because of all of the distractions that were going on with the team. There was a lack of weapons. Lack of offensive weapons. I thought training camp was a disaster when they had a quote unquote competition with all of these quarterbacks moving around. And I know there's a lot of Gardner Minshew fans out there, but this is one of the things I say: all these quarterbacks moving around in the offseason, and Gardner Minshew's name has not come up to be a starter anywhere. That's the guy that they had a competition with and that they wasted valuable time in preseason. And they had Trevor splitting time with him, saying that they wanted him to earn it. It was the dumbest plan I ever heard in my life, and it was dumb then, and it's dumb, and it pisses me off. And I start thinking about it right now, and I still get mad, even though it's water under the bridge and there's a new regime. We'll discuss that too. It just gets under my skin that this young man had the city captivated. He had this franchise captivated, and he basically has not had a proper training camp yet, and he's going into his second season. So I think some of those things, and those are outlined, with the weapons, the protection, the scheme, the bad coaching, the dysfunction in the building, having to come out like he's all right, Fleischer, and talk to everyone every week and talk about things that a rookie shouldn't have any say in, and shouldn't be doing at all. I think those are the negative things. Those are the things that we have to get away from. We also have to get away from this thinking that the goal, and I know people were tongue in cheek, just draft Trevor and get out of the way. No, you have to maximize this. The way you maximize having a franchise quarterback is like when you hit the lottery, don't just go spending money crazy. You have to be even more frugal. You have to become a mastermind. And I grew up poor, right? So people used to always say, my mama made something out of nothing, and you have to have certain skills when you don't have much. But you also need to be a wizard when it comes to finances when you have a lot of money too. And the currency that they had with salary cap space, as well as Trevor Lawrence as as their quarterback, so far the Jaguars have not acted like they know how to handle new money. Now, I do think that changes a bit with Doug Pederson, but I think some of this has to change in the expectation of the media and the fans as well. This whole they ought to run everything through Trevor is also the second dumbest thing I've ever heard. Let him be a quarterback. What are you running everything through him for? The dude is essentially a rookie again. Allow him to be a rookie. That's how you bring the best out of him. Allow him to be a rookie and be around his teammates. Don't go start running everything through Trevor Lawrence like he's the team president. That's a joke. And I've heard seasoned media people say and suggest stuff like that. That's stupid. You're not allowing the kid to do what he's supposed to do. And that's just be the quarterback of the football team and let him grow in that position. And then once he's successful, then he can start being the ambassador and being all of these things but you can't get to that until you actually learn how to functionally be a great quarterback and get the trust of your teammates, not because people like you or because they think you have potential. You have to, this is on people. The failure is not on Trevor with this. This is on people that think that you need to just paint his name on the side of a stadium and make a statue of him, and also let him run the city council and maybe be the chairman of the board at one of these hospitals in Jacksonville too. You guys are getting weird when it comes to this stuff. That proves to me, that shows me that a lot of people that think that way really don't know how to handle someone like him. That's amateur hour. Trevor Lawrence needs to just be a quarterback with muscle memory about being a quarterback and work on technique. This is why, getting to segment 2, we're going to talk about the insulation that is Doug Pederson and his staff, and the litany of people and the number of people, the sheer numbers of people that they'll have being a tutor to Trevor Lawrence. We'll discuss that, all of that in segment 2 here in our Trevor Lawrence edition of Locked On Jaguars. Listen, man, Mother's Day or Mama's Day is here. It's fast approaching. It's 2 days from right now, right? And I know you guys got brunch coming, and if you got kids and you're married and your wife she's a mother too, you got to look out for mom. You have to look out for wifey. If you got a daughter and you got grandkids, you got to look out for daughter. This is where, fellas, you need to pull out all the stops. And one of the things that you can do is buy timeless jewelry from BlueNile.com. She'll love it. I'm telling you, she is going to absolutely love it. She being mom, daughter, wife, girlfriend. In fact, spend money on all of them, whether it's a nice ring, a bracelet, a beautiful pendant, or a necklace. It will make Mother's Day so, so special for these lovely ladies in your life. Now, it is something that she'll treasure forever, and something special at BlueNile.com for our Locked On listeners. You'll get $50 off $500 at BlueNile.com. That is exclusive for us here at Locked On Sports and Locked On Jaguars. Use the code Locked On and you'll get $50 off of $500. Make sure you take care of the lovely mothers in your life on Mother's Day with a gift from BlueNile.com. Also got to let you guys know right now about BetOnline. That Kentucky Derby runs tomorrow, the Run for the Roses. I think post time is probably going to be somewhere around 6:15, 6:30. But just in case, make sure you go check out who the favorites are and find out who could make an upset bid in the Kentucky Derby that's run in Lexington at Churchill Downs. BetOnline has you covered as your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. BetOnline is your continued source for everything that's going on, not just the Run for the Roses, but the NBA took a night off last night, and they're back at it today. And I'm telling you, these teams have been fighting like crazy, and Joel Embiid is going to play. He did pass concussion protocol. You need to head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action at BetOnline, because BetOnline is where the game starts. And you guys start here with me every single time on Locked On Jaguars, making us your first listen, and we are extremely grateful for you. I'll be grateful if the Jaguars can actually maximize and get the best out of Trevor Lawrence, and it really starts this year. Like I said earlier, there's not, for anybody who thought Trevor Lawrence wasn't going to be great, you don't have the evidence to suggest that he won't. So just calm down and quit talking about all of those interceptions when you didn't watch the game and understand why those interceptions happened. And those that think he is going to be great, you can relax too, because you don't know. You know he's going to be. You know his floor is going to be that he's going to be decent and pretty good at the very least. But we don't have evidence that we can just go and tell somebody that he's going to be a top 5 quarterback anytime in the near future. What will help, though, is the fact that he's now going to be insulated and supported by a lot of guys, whether it's head coach Doug Pederson, the assistant offense coordinator or the offense coordinator, Press Taylor, the quarterback coach, Mike McCoy, and the offensive assistant, and Jim Cooter. All of those guys have extensive history of working with some pretty good quarterbacks for a long, long time. And I think those are a lot of eyes. That's a lot of, there's a lot of layers, a lot of eyes, a lot of fresh eyes to helping Trevor Lawrence become the best version of himself for this team. So that's one thing that I applaud Doug Pederson for doing. You're actually taking the number one piece of currency that you have and the number one resource you have, and you're giving that person the most resources to actually improve and get better. I think that's going to be extremely important. And you won't have to worry about a competition this year because Trevor Lawrence is the leader. The less I hear from Trevor about anything that doesn't concern football, the better, because that means that's time that he can be using to get himself right, get his mechanics right, understand football concepts coming out of college, because at Clemson, everything from what I understand was super vanilla. Being able to just be a guy around his teammates and being able to focus on just being a leader. Off the field, I don't worry about him at all. There's a lovely wife, a lovely family with a great support system. So he has shown me that he is really, really mature. And I thought he was a mature player when he came out. He is a super mature guy. And all of the arrows actually point, the ones, his own arrows, they always pointed to him being great. And now that they have all of the support system around him with his makeup and how he is and who he is as a player, I really do believe that he's going to be an outstanding player. But in order to get there, there are things that even he will admit probably that he needs to work on. Can't be a hero. And I know it's very, very easy to say that. You can't be a hero. You can't throw the ball, can't throw it into double coverage. You can't just wing it, because I know he was trying, and this is what I said about those picks. If you watch the Jaguars games and don't watch highlights and lowlights, folks would understand that Trevor was trying to will a team to win amidst a bunch of BS that was going on behind the scenes. And then just like Eddie Murphy said in the movie Life, what I see is just a total lack of talent. It's a total lack of talent. And shout out to Eddie Murphy in Life. That was a funny movie. That's when those guys were practicing to play baseball, and against the prison guards or guys from another prison or guys from another cell block, and they was just nobody could play except the one guy called Can't Get Right. So Trevor can get right, and I don't think that while I don't think they're done with talent acquisition for them to eventually make a run towards the playoffs, I do think they're vastly improved, and I also think the scheme and the way Doug Pederson is going to call plays is going to help. I think the offensive line definitely got better. I like Evan Ingram. I like Christian Kirk, who I think is going to have a good year. And I like Zay Jones better than most. I think Zay Jones right now is better than a receiver they could have gotten in the second round. That's just my he's better right now than anyone they could have gotten in the draft. How about that? I mean, he's going to be better than anybody who's played, because I think Pickens and those guys might have a higher ceiling. But right now, for this year, I think Zay Jones is really, really going to help the Jaguars. Trevor, though, does have to eliminate the hero ball, eliminate some of the mistakes. I think he has to run and make sure he protects himself. There's a couple of times, and it might be me just overthinking it because he's so long and gangly when he runs. It looks like a couple of times it looked like he was a candidate to get hurt, and we don't need him to do that. So I just think with added protection, with better outlets, with guys like Christian Kirk that can take top off the defense and not just run fast. He actually knows how to run routes. I think all of those things are going to make life a little bit easier. And then I think the game plans that they have will make life a little bit easier. I think you're going to see a lot of throws from Trevor Lawrence this year that's going to look real easy. And it's going to be that way because of the design of the offense. I look back at Philadelphia and I saw Nick Foles and in the Super Bowl, and I went back and watched that game, and I saw the design of the offense, and I was like, I can imagine Trevor making those throws. As you see, my son just came into the barbershop in my video in the background. But I really do believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to have a chance to eliminate those mistakes, get with those quarterback coaches, and get with all of those guys on the offensive side of the ball. But you can't be naive. You can't be a fan and think that he doesn't have things that he needs to improve on. I think mechanically there's some things he can work on. I think letting the ball go quicker, anticipating that guys are going to be open, but at least now we know guys who on the team can get open. So I'm going to tell you what I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be. I think what he's going to do and how he's going to improve. I might even throw some numbers around at you and let you know exactly what I think statistically he's going to be able to get done. I'll do that in the final segment here on the weekend edition of Locked On Jaguars. First, I got to tell you about Built Bar, man. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar you have ever had in your life. And I say you have ever had because that means you already had it. You should have already had it because I've been telling you about it for it seems like 15 years. That Built Bar is outstanding. It is the best protein bar you ever had. First of all, the macros. Most bars have about 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 powerful grams of protein. And then they're not all chalky and waxy like some of those things that you buy in the store that they call protein bars that taste like eating a cardboard box. Built Bar tastes like a candy bar. It tastes like a treat, whether you get the Built Bar itself or the Built Puffs, which is a protein-infused marshmallow. What you need to do is go to Built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15, and you're going to get 15% off your next order of Built Bars. My favorite is salted caramel. Make sure you try them all out and see what your favorite one is. And for the latest information on Built Bar, go to @bar_built on Twitter for the latest news and information. And we thank you for being with us again, making us your first listen here on Locked On Jaguars. It's a little late, a little weekend edition, but you can watch it all weekend. You guys make sure you check out the Locked On NFL podcast as well. Locked On NFL is 5 days a week. Yours truly is on there on Wednesday. And it's right where you get all of your rest of your podcasts. It's a national podcast, and you get a perspective from guys all around the country about what's going on in the NFL. Wednesday is my day with James Rapine, and you can check that out wherever you get your podcasts, as well as like and subscribe to the YouTube page. I think Trevor will have a good year. I think he'll have a good year because he'll be single-minded and focused on just football, and won't be the press secretary, and he won't be coming out and speaking when things go wrong. I think the leader in Doug Pederson will be the answer man, the guy that's going to give you all of the information that's going on with the team. I think along with that leadership comes a relative amount of accountability, and the accountability and responsibility that Doug Pederson has is really going to set Trevor free to do things that a young 22-year-old guy needs to be doing. And that is being around his teammates, being an absolute leader with his teammates, being in the film room, being the first guy in the facility, the last guy to leave, and doing things that quarterbacks do in order to lift the franchise. And make no mistake about it, this franchise will not get lifted unless he elevates his game. And that's a lot. That's a lot to put on a kid. That's a lot to put on a quarterback. But Trevor Lawrence, from what I understand and from what I've seen, is built to do that. And I really do think that added amount of stability is going to be what helps him do the things that's required for him to be a great quarterback this year and lead the team. Statistically, what am I looking for? First of all, I'm looking for less interceptions because of the added talent, the play design, as well as his maturity and his growth. To know when to fold them, to know when to just throw it away, to know when to just not take a hit, to get out of bounds. I think the Jaguars will be very adept and very good at something that's super, super important. And what that is moving the sticks. I think that's the kind of offense I think that they should focus on early on. And I think that's going to help Trevor a lot. Moving the sticks, getting first downs. The object is to win the game. You win the game by scoring points and stopping people. But one of the ways that you can fragment it to the point where you're doing the things that you need to do is make your object to get first downs and control the ball, control the clock, keep the defense on their heels. And I think that's what Doug Pederson is going to do. And I think it's going to help Trevor Lawrence. Over 4,000 yards easily. I think he'll do that. I think he'll be 4,400, 4,600. I think he'll get close to 30 touchdowns, if not a little bit more than 30 touchdowns. But I want to see those interception numbers. I actually don't want to ever see an interception, but I would be satisfied if the INTs and the turnover numbers, they're hanging around 8 to 12. And that would mean that something's going right. And you're just going to have plays sometimes where guys just make good plays, or there may be a tip ball, or you're really trying to force something in because you're trying to win a game, and you'll have the obligatory at the end of half Hail Mary. You have 2 or 3 of those every year. So if he can control those turnovers and make sure that he focuses on just moving the chains, I think Trevor Lawrence will have a really, really good year and start to solidify himself. First of all, you got to crack that dozen. After you crack that dozen, when the team success comes in year 3, that's where I think they take an actual jump towards being a team that's really, really going to push for playoff positioning. That's when I think he'll start getting credit as being one of those guys in the top 7, top 8. And eventually, when some guys retire and when they actually do get to the point where they win a lot, that's when I think Trevor will be considered one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the league eventually, maybe by year 4 or something like that. But I do think he takes a jump, and I think because he takes that step forward, I think it lifts the franchise. And it gives, maybe if they don't make the playoffs, it still gives you hope that he is eventually going to be a very, very good player and that this team is going to be on the uprise. I told you I wouldn't make you feel bad when I told you what I thought you would get from Trevor this year, and but I'm realistic, and I think we all need to take that realistic approach. I'm also real that I need you guys to watch out for each other, take care of each other this weekend, enjoy the Run for the Roses tomorrow, and for those whose moms are still here, and kiss them, man, moms, grandmas, and enjoy Mother's Day, whether it's your wife, kids, or whatever. Please, please, please have a safe and happy Mother's Day and continue to take care of each other. Till next week, this is Tony Wiggins here with Locked On Jaguars. We'll see you.